Mrs. Brinks is the living embodiment of our chapel theme this year, Hope Does Not Disappoint. Whether it's after-school tutoring at Aclamo, UCHC runs on Thursdays, or countless casserole blitzes during the year, she shares and instills her hope in all of us that the world can be made a little bit better, a little bit safer, and a little bit brighter if we all work together. With such an inspiring leader, it's no surprise that EA's community service network reaches all aspects of the world around us. Tutoring during the week, soup kitchens and community gardens on the weekends, as well as partnerships as close as Philadelphia and as far as Haiti. And on top of all of these meaningful opportunities, Mrs. Brinks built the EA Community Service Core to make sure that we all understand the context of our service and how through giving we receive just as much. I am so excited to hear what she has to share with us today because I know that one of Mrs. Brinks' greatest hopes is that each student can see the virtue in service, which is why she always encourages everyone to participate and reach out through email, on the bulletin board, or just to walk into her always open office door. So please stand to greet our community service coordinator and my friend, Mrs. Brinks.
I'm glad to see all of you. While I savor summer and the time to travel, rest, and regroup, please, sorry. There is something very special about coming back together as a community. It lifts my heart to see familiar faces, faces that have traveled together to South Africa to sing and dance, and with smiling little children who live in tin shacks, Aclamo volunteer tutors, soup kitchen servers, Father Gavin's summer school class, particularly Group B, and so many colleagues who support community service in word and deed. And then there are new faces we look forward to introducing to service. In this season of beginnings, I ponder how to put intentions into action, how to make this school year even more impactful than previous years. I'm drawn to a benediction, a call to action, that the minister at my church gives at the end of each service. Go forth into the world in peace, hold fast to that which is good, render to no one evil for evil, help the weak, support the afflicted, honor all persons. These are powerful words that challenge me. Go forth into the world. Okay, I've got that part. We get into the EA vans, we get on trains and planes, and we get out there and we really serve. Day of service, 135 students, 16 teachers, 14 service sites, 8 vans, 3 buses, repeat. But wait, there is much, much more in this challenge. Hold fast to good, be kind, help the weak, support the afflicted, honor all persons. As small children, you no doubt learned the golden rule. Treat others as you would like to be treated, practicing this in classrooms with sisters, brothers, and friends. It's the little ways that we help each other in and out of school that allow us to develop empathy and compassion. At the end of this past school year, Baldwin's head of school wrote an editorial that was published in the Philadelphia Inquirer. She writes that what makes her most proud of her recent graduates is not the content of the lessons they learned in history, computer science, or the talents they honed as scholars or athletes, although these things are certainly laudable. What makes her most proud is their appreciation for and understanding of others. She goes on to say, "It is not just because actions of compassion and connection help create a warmer, friendlier school environment and lead to individual success in labs, classrooms, and studios, on the soccer field and the performance stage. It is because empathy helps us become better leaders, citizens, and community members for the rest of our lives. Studies show that it is the soft skills that matter most in the real world. The biggest difference between average and amazing people, almost 90% of the time, is emotional factors, not intellectual acumen. And in particular, empathy is critical to success. Spending time with someone who is different from us can be revealing. Differences are put aside for commonalities, and preconceived ideas about race, identity, religion, and socioeconomic circumstances are lessened through shared time. Perhaps there's a shift toward understanding or even realization that not understanding is okay and doesn't need to be a reason for disengagement. The guests at the soup kitchen where we serve could serve themselves, and students at the schools we visit could muddle through their lessons. But then how would we know that homelessness has different faces and that there is dignity in being served a meal? And how would we know that Oscar, whose immigrant parents don't speak English, is good at math, reads on grade level, and wants to be a doctor? How would they know we care? A number of years ago, I listened to Mike, a formerly homeless man who lives in Project Home residence and is employed by Project Home, talk about why he came off the streets. Mike had lived on the streets of Philadelphia for 25 years, part of a community of cardboard box dwellers who camped nightly on the Benjamin Franklin Parkway. For years, social workers and psychologists and priests had tried to persuade him to come in, offering shelter, warm meals, and counseling. It was the earnest students and their tuna fish sandwiches, he tells, who finally made me change my mind. They kept coming back just to talk. They showed me that people really care. In June, I went along with Father Gavin's summer school class to visit West Kensington Ministry, a community-based organization that is housed in a once-proud 150-year-old church. I imagine that most of the students in the class were somewhat uncertain about visiting Kensington, notorious for drugs, violence, and poverty. WKM is located on Norris Square, a plot of green space that in 1859 was gifted by William Penn. The park, which looks like many of Philadelphia's historic green spaces, had been known as Needle Park until neighbors formed a grassroots effort to take it back. Today, groups of neighbors take shifts cleaning the park and patrolling it during the day to ensure that it is safe for children to play and for people to enjoy the outdoors. Adan Morena, the minister who founded WKM, tells us stories about the neighborhood and the people. Many are heartbreaking, others uplifting. Don't think for a minute that the people in this neighborhood don't care. Their challenges are great, but they are trying. We depart with a different perspective, having been to a place that we had only heard negative things about. Later in the week, I volunteered with the class's Group B at Mill Creek Farm, an educational farm and environmental center in West Philadelphia. Mill Creek is an oasis in one of the poorest zip codes in Philadelphia. When we arrived, Akibu Lan Marcus, the very hip community activist who runs the garden, looked at us a little skeptically, no doubt seeing that we were not seasoned farmers. He handed us a few tools, including a machete, and waved at a heavily weeded area. Gamely, we began, sweating profusely in the heat and humidity, battling off bees, mosquitoes, and prickly waist-high weeds. Yes, we were wearing shorts. By the end of a long, challenging morning, we had earned a few nods of respect from Akibu and his staff. Not because we had done an amazing job. I'm pretty sure that they were going to have to replant some of the seedlings our overzealous weeding had unearthed. But we had showed up in West Philadelphia in a neighborhood very different from our own and put our hands in the dirt and tried. Did we love it? Probably not, but that's okay. The learning is in the effort. When I was a teenager, my mother announced that I was going to be a candy striper or junior aide at the local hospital. What? Hideous red and white striped jumper? Helping old people eat colorless food? And none of the cool girls were candy stripers. It took a while to realize that she was not trying to ruin my life, but to gently nudge me toward opportunities beyond my comfort zone where I could practice compassion. And while it did not inspire me to pursue a career in medicine, here I am, truly a sum of my experiences. I do challenge you to think beyond yourselves, to think more deeply about your role and responsibility as citizens of the earth. Sign up to serve dinner at a soup kitchen, or come out on a Saturday to help middle school girls from Harlem Lacrosse learn how to use a microscope. Engage in your day of service assignment. Look around you and ask questions. Beyond our days of service, there are on-campus and off-campus service opportunities throughout the year. There are May term and summer service trips. Yes, you do have to make an effort to find out about them and perhaps you have to choose to find time in a busy schedule. But give it a try. I promise you will learn something. So together, let's go forth into the world in peace, hold fast to that which is good, render to no one evil for evil, help the weak, support the afflicted, honor all persons. In silence, please take a moment to reflect on these thoughts.